All right, guys, welcome to today's session. This video is for those who are having problem with how to space your x-axis when you have questions like this. All right. Now we know that amplitude is 3, and b is equal to 2, h is equal to pi over 3, and k is equal to negative 3 over 2. Or someone would just say 1.5, negative 1. All right, so find your period. Period is defined as 2 pi divided by b, which here becomes 2 pi divided by 2, which is the same as pi. All right, so what it means is that for each cycle, the graph will be between, for each cycle, the graph will be between 0 to pi for each cycle. All right, from 0 to 2 pi, we have 2 cycles. From 0 to 2 pi, we have 2 cycles. All right, so now when you have this, the next thing to do is to find out where your graph will start from and where your graph will end. Obviously, h tells us we are moving from pi over 3. So we are starting from pi over 3, not 0. So we'll start from pi over 3. Now, the range for one cycle is 0 to pi. So how do we find the end if this time we are starting from pi over 3? So the end is just take the period and add the starting point to it, which will give you 4 over 3 pi. So this becomes your end. So your start and your end, or your finish, the start and your finish for the graph. All right. Let's take this. Okay, so x-axis, y-axis is 0, 1, 2, and let's say 3. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6 on the y-axis. Now, remember that the graph is not starting from the 0, so we can just do this to show that we have missing point on the x-axis. We're starting from pi over 3. Now, how do you know the next point from pi over 3? How do you know? Because you're supposed to get 4 points. What do I mean by this? When you take the unit circle, we start from 0 to end at 2 pi. We divide the unit circle into 4. Each quarter is pi over 2. So pi over 2 plus pi over 2 gives us pi. Pi plus pi over 2 gives us 3 over 2 pi, and then all the way to 2 pi. So it means we take the period, we divide it into 4. Pi over 2. We add up 4 times until we get to the end of the unit circle, right? So we do the same thing here. What's the period here? The period here is pi. So to get a 4 point for each cycle, take the period, divide the period into 4. So pi over 4. So if I start from pi over 3, the next point is I will add up by pi over 4. So pi over 3 plus pi over 4. Okay, when you calculate, you should get 7 over 12. Then add pi over 4 to 7 over 12 pi. Okay, when you add, you get 5 over 6 pi. Then add pi over 4 to 5 over 6 pi. When you do, you should get 13 over 12 pi. Then add for the 4th time and get your endpoint. Okay, so to know how to space, what to add up, just take your period, divide by 4. Okay, just take your period, divide by 4, start from the starting point and add up and add up and add up until you get to the 4th add up. Now, the question says that we'll shift down. K is minus 1.5. So we shift from 0 to minus 1.5. So minus 1.5 becomes our new starting point. And our amplitude is 3. So we'll go up by 3. If I'm at minus 1.5 and I move up 3 times, then I'll end up at positive 1.5. Then if I am at minus 1.5 and I move down 3 times, I'll end up at negative 4.5. Okay. All right, so this becomes our spacing for the sine graph. All right, so now if we are starting from the point pi over 3, then it means our first point will be here. Because remember, the graph shifts down 1.5. So we start from here. It's a positive sine graph. So we start and we go up. So the next point will be on 7 over 12 pi, which should be up here. Then we'll come back to the starting point, which will be on 5 over 6 pi, which will be here. And we'll descend all the way down to this place. All right. And back to the finish line. All right. So if in case you can't see the point very well, just do this. If you have a good millimeter paper, your millimeter paper will provide you these lines. Okay, so we have this line. So now let's join the point. Our graph will look like this. And end here. If you decide to continue and draw another cycle, that's okay. So this is how your graph will look like. Let's try to find out if we have maximum point, a minimum point, or not. So now you see that the maximum point occurs here. So maximum occurs at 7 over 12 pi. Okay, and the minimum here, minimum at 13 over 12 pi. Do we have zeros? Do we have zeros? Let's check and see. Yes, we have y as an output of 0 here, y at an output of 0 here. I want to use red. So here we have 0 here, we have 0 here. Because I am not using an accurate millimeter paper, I'm not able to tell you the exact x value at this point. But from the graph, you can see that we have 2 0 points. I hope this helps you. See you again.